Few artists have left a mark on British popular culture as profound and enduring as Cliff Richard. Born Harry Roger Webb on October 14, 1940, in Lucknow, India, Cliff's journey from a modest upbringing to becoming one of the most successful recording artists in history is a story of resilience, faith, and unwavering dedication. His career has spanned more than 6 decades, weathering seismic shifts in musical taste, cultural identity, and public expectation. While many performers rise and fade with the times, Cliff Richard adapted without losing his core values, earning admiration not just for his talent, but for his integrity. His life story is not merely one of fame, but of sacrifice, personal conviction, and quiet strength. From rock and roll rebellion to spiritual reflection, Cliff Richard's journey mirrors the evolution of British music itself, making him not only a star, but a symbol of continuity and perseverance. Early life, from colonial India to post-war Britain. Cliff Richard's early years were shaped by dramatic social and cultural change. Born in British India during the final years of colonial rule, his childhood was marked by uncertainty as India moved toward independence. In 1948, when Cliff was just 8 years old, his family relocated to England, settling in a country still recovering from the devastation of World War II. Life in post-war Britain was far from easy. The Webb family faced financial hardship, limited opportunities, and the challenge of adapting to a new environment. For young Cliff, this period of transition was formative. Amid rationing, austerity, and social rebuilding, music became both a comfort and an escape. Radios brought American rock and roll into British homes, sparking his imagination and awakening a dream that would define his future. These early experiences instilled in him resilience and determination, qualities that would later propel him toward extraordinary success. Discovering music and the birth of Cliff Richard. As a teenager, Cliff Richard found himself increasingly drawn to music, particularly the electrifying sounds of American rock and roll. Artists like Elvis Presley and Little Richard inspired him with their energy, confidence, and freedom of expression. Determined to follow this path, Harry Webb adopted the stage name Cliff Richard, blending the rugged imagery of rock culture with a tribute to his musical hero, Little Richard. This transformation was more than cosmetic. It marked the birth of a performer with ambition and vision. Cliff practiced relentlessly, honing his voice and stage presence, and soon began performing at local venues. His dedication paid off when opportunity met preparation. In an era when British music was still searching for its own identity, Cliff emerged as a fresh, exciting voice. His early performances hinted at something new, an authentic British rock star ready to step onto the national stage. The rock and roll revolution, Move It, and a new sound. In 1958, Cliff Richard's career changed forever with the release of Move It. Widely regarded as the first true British rock and roll record, the song was a cultural milestone. At a time when the UK music scene was dominated by American imports and traditional pop, Move It announced that Britain could produce its own rock star. Cliff's raw vocals, energetic delivery, and rebellious charisma electrified audiences, particularly young listeners eager for something bold and modern. Backed by the Shadows, Cliff quickly became Britain's answer to Elvis Presley. His performances captured the spirit of youth culture, blending excitement with accessibility. Almost overnight, he rose to stardom, topping charts and commanding headlines. Move It did more than launch a career. It helped ignite a musical revolution, laying the groundwork for the British rock explosion that would soon follow. Stardom in the 1960s, music, film, and mass appeal. The 1960s marked a golden era for Cliff Richard as he expanded his influence beyond music into film and television. While the decade saw the rise of the Beatles and the British invasion, Cliff maintained his popularity by evolving with the times. He starred in a series of successful musical films, including The Young Ones, Summer Holiday, and Wonderful Life. These films showcased his charm, humor, and versatility, appealing to audiences across generations. Cliff's clean-cut image set him apart during a time of cultural upheaval, making him a reassuring yet exciting presence in British entertainment. Families embraced him just as passionately as teenagers did. His ability to balance modern appeal with wholesome values allowed him to remain relevant in a rapidly changing industry. By the mid-1960s, Cliff Richard was not just a pop star, he was a national institution. Faith and transformation, a spiritual turning point. In 1966, Cliff Richard experienced a profound spiritual awakening that would shape the rest of his life and career. Publicly declaring his Christian faith, he chose to align his personal and professional life with his beliefs. This decision was bold, particularly in an industry often associated with excess and rebellion. Cliff began incorporating moral and spiritual themes into his work and became involved in charitable and religious initiatives. Rather than diminishing his popularity, this transformation deepened public respect for him. He stood out as a figure of integrity, discipline, and sincerity. While many contemporaries faced scandals and burnout, Cliff maintained a steady, grounded presence. His faith provided clarity and purpose, guiding his choices and reinforcing his commitment to living authentically. This spiritual foundation became one of the defining characteristics of his public identity and enduring appeal. Longevity and musical achievement. Across decades, Cliff Richard's career, longevity is unmatched in British music history. He achieved the remarkable feat of scoring UK top 5 hits across 8 consecutive decades, a testament to his adaptability and enduring relevance. With more than 250 million records sold worldwide, his commercial success places him among the best-selling artists of all time. Yet, numbers alone do not capture his impact. Cliff consistently reinvented himself while staying true to his core identity. From rock and roll to pop ballads and inspirational music, he navigated shifting trends with grace. His Christmas releases, in particular, became beloved fixtures of British holiday culture. Fans, affectionately known as Cliffettes, remained loyal through every era, passing their admiration down through generations. Cliff's ability to connect emotionally with audiences, decade after decade, solidified his status as a timeless figure in popular music. Mutual respect. Cliff Richard and Paul McCartney. Despite the competitive nature of the music industry, Cliff Richard's reflections on Paul McCartney reveal a relationship rooted in admiration rather than rivalry. Cliff recalls hearing "Love Me Do" for the first time and immediately recognizing its originality and promise. He openly acknowledged that the Beatles, led in part by McCartney, revolutionized popular music and reshaped the image of the rock star. Rather than feeling overshadowed, Cliff viewed himself as a pioneer who helped create the space for such innovation. In his memoir, he shares warm anecdotes of their interactions, emphasizing mutual respect and shared understanding. Cliff saw McCartney not as a competitor, but as a musical brother, someone who carried British music into a new era. This perspective highlights Cliff's humility and generosity of spirit, reinforcing his reputation as a gracious and thoughtful figure within the industry. Reflection and Memoir, a life in music and memory. In his memoir, A Head Full of Music and Memories, Cliff Richard offers readers an intimate look at the life behind the legend. Now in his 80s, he reflects with clarity, gratitude, and wisdom on his extraordinary journey. The book weaves together stories of fame, faith, love, and loss, revealing a man who remained grounded despite decades in the spotlight. Cliff's reflections are candid yet gentle, shaped by experience rather than regret. He writes not only of triumphs, but of moments of doubt and sacrifice, offering insight into the emotional reality of a life devoted to art. His memoir stands as both a personal testimony and a cultural document, chronicling the evolution of British popular music through the eyes of one of its most enduring voices. Conclusion. A life well lived and still inspiring. Cliff Richard's life is a testament to perseverance, authenticity, and purpose. From a childhood marked by displacement to a career that reshaped British music, His journey is both extraordinary and deeply human. He navigated fame without losing himself, embraced faith without fear, and achieved success without surrendering integrity. As an artist, he helped define generations. As a person, he inspired respect and admiration. Even in later years, Cliff continues to perform, create, and connect with audiences, proving that passion does not fade with time. His legacy is not only measured in records sold or charts topped, but in the lives he touched and the example he set. Cliff Richard's story reminds us that true greatness lies not just in talent, but in character, and that is why his music and memory will endure.